Hello everyone, my name is Sachin Bhandari and you are watching the Storycore's YouTube channel. In this video, I am going to narrate the story of something that a lot of us, whether we are startup founders, executives, CEOs, or people who are solopreneurs, entrepreneurs building their personal brand, we tend to forget or we tend to not pay too much attention to. Now, this is something that was reminded to me by an entrepreneur who I met or a startup founder who I met in my adopted city, my adopted home city of Mysuru in India. Now, it so happened that I wanted to reach out to startups in Mysuru. There are not so many of them, and I got connected to this gentleman, this founder, over LinkedIn, and we decided to meet each other. What was just meant to be a cup of filter coffee, cup of South Indian filter coffee, ended up teaching me a thing or two about the most important aspect of communication. So I'll get to that. Listen to the entire story, and towards the end I will also share a couple of communication tips so that you can use it in your business communication as well. So stay with me. So the startup founder, the entrepreneur that I spoke about is Sumanth Prabhu. Sumanth hails from a small town in the district of Shimoga in Karnataka. His town is called Sagara. Now, like most of us, Sumanth got an engineering degree, but unlike most of us, he never took up a job. So he's been an entrepreneur since day one, since the day he graduated. And along with his friend Nikhil, he has a company which is called Kidvento, which started about 7 years ago. It was called something else back then, but now it is called Kidvento. When I met Sumanth, he had a very smiling demeanor, but what I realized as I kept speaking to him is that he had been through so many trials and tribulations and come out trumps in his entire journey, and along with his co-founder Nikhil and his entire team. And that made me wonder why it is so. Why has this young entrepreneur from a small town with no experience of entrepreneurship, no family backing, not a lot of funds, has been able to surpass all of these challenges? So as I kept speaking, the answers kept coming to me, and I'll tell you a little bit about what has happened with Sumanth. So Sumanth and Nikhil, when they started off, edtech wasn't really a hot space. They didn't have a lot of competitors, but at the same time there wasn't a lot of demand. But now edtech is the hottest sector in India, and there are so many edtech startups who are flush with funding that they now have had to go ahead and raise funding for themselves. And earlier, before that, they were completely bootstrapped for many years. That's number one. Number two, what Sumanth and Nikhil started was a company which wanted to help schools provide better quality of education. So it was a B2B startup or a B2B company. When the pandemic came last year in March of 2020 and the lockdown started, it really hit them hard. They found it very difficult to navigate those times. And also they had another important question in the beginning of their journey, is that they came from the small town called Shimoga. They really didn't belong to a big city like Bengaluru. So where to start their company was a question that they were faced with, and they had to find an answer to that as well. So I'll come back to each one of these things. So when it came to edtech, the fact that everybody now has a lot of funding and it's a hot sector, Sumanth and Nikhil have actually realized that. They've adapted themselves to the entire situation, and they raised a small round in 2017. I think they're now going to try and raise their next round as well, because they realize that you cannot bring a knife to a gunfight. So they are chasing funding, and they also want to have the wherewithal and the resources to be able to go ahead and fight it out in the market. That's number one. Number two, the B2B business, which was hit really hard because of the pandemic, is something that they have pivoted away from. So while they continue to provide B2B services, I believe their focus now is a B2C app which tries to give kids knowledge or skills of things which are really important, but some things which the education system completely ignores. So that's how the Kidvento app was born, and from whatever I have heard, it's doing really well. It has a lot of takers. And the third thing about the location of where to start the company, now they were small town boys, so they really sort of were not interested in starting off in Bengaluru's chaos. So they decided to get some midway. So they started their company in Mysuru, which is not very far from Bangalore, but at the same time is not as crazy busy as Bangalore is. So they are staying close to their roots, but at the same time they are not staying too far away from the action. So all of these things happened. Now I kept wondering and I kept trying to figure out, why is it that Sumanth has been able to find answers to a lot of questions that many founders sometimes aren't able to. Now I realize that this happens because of Sumanth's clarity of his beliefs. So he believes in the power of education, he believes in staying close to his roots, he believes in entrepreneurship. So these beliefs, these values is what is helping Sumanth, Nikhil and the rest of the team tide over a lot of challenges that they've been facing while building and growing this company by leaps and bounds. So, and that's something that we all need to learn from, right? And that will take us to the next segment where I'll share the communication tip with you. So stay with me. Now, many times when we are trying to build either a personal brand, a startup, or even when as we are growing as leaders in our organization, we aren't very clear about the things that we believe in. What is the hypothesis on which we are building our career or even our startup? So an example that I'd like to share is of the Storycore itself. Now we believe that good communication makes life meaningful. Of course, good communication is good for business, it's good for your career, but it's much deeper and much more important than that. Good communication actually makes your entire life meaningful. It helps you build better relationships, have better relationship with yourself, so on and so forth. And that's the premise, or that's the belief, primary belief over which Storycore is being built. But apart from that, we have a couple of other values as well. We call them values. One of them is that we always want to have a beginner's mindset. So which basically means that we want to be lifelong learners and we want to keep improving on things that we've already learned, but also keep learning new things along the way all the time. The second thing, or the third value is minimalism. So our team, we all believe in being minimalist, in using only as much as required and trying to keep our lives free of clutter. And that is why we do a newsletter which does not go beyond 700 words most times. So we also value other people's time and other people's space. So that's why minimalism is something that we truly believe in as well. So these are our value and belief system, and this is what helps us get an identity in the minds of people who interact with us, but also at the same time it's a great north star for our company to understand that, hey, this is who we are, this is not something that we do, this is not who we are, so we should not walk that path or take that decision. Now something similar has happened with Sumanth and Kidvento over the years as well, because of their clarity in their beliefs. Now the question is, how do you come up with this? How do you understand what your beliefs are? Now I think most people understand those things, it's just that we haven't articulated them. So I think everyone should take time off and write down their beliefs. What are the things that they believe in? Why are they building the company? What are the reasons for doing something beyond the monetary value, valuation, size, number of users, etc., etc. All of those things are important, but also what's important is your why, right? So figure out those things, write out all of your beliefs, and maybe 3 of them can be institutionalized as the company's motto or the mission or the values of the company. And it's something that you will deeply find value in if you take time out to do this. It may not happen in one sitting, but definitely it is something worth pursuing. And it's not just for startups, it's even if you are a leader in a company and you are growing and you are sort of going to the next level, managing a larger team, larger group of people, etc. Your belief system is what makes people associate themselves with you or come with you on the journey or not. So it's very important to have that. The same thing goes for personal brand as well. If you're a solopreneur or a freelancer, etc., your belief system is what forms the basis for your personal brand as well. So just I think it's a fantastic exercise to do. So that's it from me in this video. Before I go, let me tell you that the Storycore is a storytelling training and coaching firm. We use the power of storytelling to help people and businesses make their communication simple, clear and compelling. But the most important thing, I believe, what we do is that we help people add meaning to their message. And according to me, nothing adds meaning as much as stories do. So if you have any questions about storytelling or business communication, please feel free to ask me in comments. Me or one of my colleagues will answer your question as soon as we can. That is it from me in this video. Do stay tuned to this channel, do subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you very soon in the next video. Till then, story on. Bye-bye.